And guys, this video is brought to you by CobraSwap. Now live on the Binance Smart Chain, you can swap, stake and earn on CobraSwap for extremely lucrative rewards. Now CobraSwap is Venom DAO's latest initiative after establishing ViperSwap, Harmony's leading decentralized exchange. Head over to cobra.exchange and start earning rewards today. Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick, and in this video today we're going to be talking about VeChain and specifically the price action of the VET token, but in 2025. This is our 2025 VeChain price prediction. This is something that we've been wanting to do for a while, and it is something that you have requested for quite some time as well. So we thought now is a pretty good opportunity to get this video out there and to give you our thoughts and opinions on where VeChain is likely to go in the next few years. As we get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, then do go ahead and hit that like button. I really do appreciate it. If you are new to the channel, make sure you do subscribe, tap the bell and select all notifications. In doing so, you will not miss another VeChain update. Right, with that said, done and out of the way, let's jump on down to the desktop and start talking about what VeChain is, some of the partnerships and things that are going on here that really will have an impact on price discovery in the next few years, and then get into, of course, that sweet 2025 price prediction. Okay guys, so we're going to start just here. This is the VeChain website. And the reason that we want to bring this up is obviously give everyone a kind of a broad understanding as to what VeChain is. Now, I did a video not too long ago, a few days ago now, and where we talk about, what is VeChain and is it a good investment? If you do not have a good solid understanding of what VeChain is at this point, check that video out. I really do go through some of the basics there. And obviously here we're going to kind of go into a little bit more detail as to what is going on with VeChain and why the price prediction for this particular project in 2025 is what it's going to be. Now, VeChain is the world's leading blockchain application platform driven by enterprise adoption. Now, that's obviously their headline here at VeChain.com. Now, obviously, VeChain started out its life, if you will, on the Ethereum blockchain, outgrew Ethereum very quickly and set up its own blockchain. This is the VeChain 4 blockchain. Now, the VeChain 4 blockchain actually started life as a logistical solutions, right, blockchain solution. But it has actually evolved quite a bit since then, and it has actually taken on many different faces, and it is tackling many different industries around the world with lots of different use cases. So it goes above and beyond just your standard supply chain, but it does do supply chain very well because that is where it actually started. So it kind of nailed that one and has now moved on to tackle many of these other areas as well. So in the case of VeChain here, it is obviously all about enterprises and businesses, and it's trying to tackle many of the problems that these businesses and enterprises face today. And it basically allows those businesses to carry on with business as they know how to, without having to, rewrite so many processes in the background. It does allow for the world to change, but also at a limit, right? We don't have to rewrite everything. We can adapt and move with blockchain technology rather than kind of fighting against it. This is something that you're seeing quite a bit when it comes to the banking sector at the moment. There seems to be a lot of restriction here. There's a hesitance to kind of allow cryptocurrencies to kind of do their thing. But what you see here with businesses and enterprises, and specifically around supply chain at the moment, is they're actually embracing VeChain. VeChain has some technology called the VeChain toolchain, and the VeChain toolchain is a fantastic piece of kit. It allows you to basically onboard onto the VeChain's ecosystem with very limited technical expertise. This is testament to obviously the development that goes on here, but also as a bit of a test bed. Walmart China were able to basically onboard in as little as 3 months, something that would normally have taken much, much longer. And that is all because of the VeChain toolchain. So definitely one to do more research on, because that is a fantastic bit of kit and it is unique to VeChain. But VeChain does have many other use cases and little hidden features in it that make it really stand out. And we can talk about this in a lot more detail, but this isn't really what the video is about. But definitely worth doing more research if you do not have a really good solid understanding of what VeChain is and how it works. Check out some of the previous videos that we've done on the channel, because there's a lot of fantastic things that really do make this a particular blockchain apply to so many businesses worldwide. And in this video, we will go into a couple of them because they are quite meaningful. Now, in terms of use cases, obviously we've spoken about how VeChain is or started life as a supply chain blockchain, right? But it obviously has moved on a little bit. Now, I want to obviously just bring up BMW here. So BMW.com, under the innovation area, blockchain automation, right? There's a couple of use cases on this page, right? So if I just actually scroll back to the top here, you can see that this is BMW's website, and basically this is how blockchain automotive solutions can help drivers, right? But they actually highlight a couple of use cases. Now, BMW, in a roundabout way, partnered up, if that's a bad word or a good word, with VeChain to basically create Verify Car, which was about mileage and things like that. But on the BMW website, where they're actually openly talking about blockchain technology and the use cases, the very first one they come up with is a digital vehicle passport through blockchain. And basically, this is the very latest when the car is being resold. What is the mileage, all that kind of stuff. This is what you can kind of get from the Verify Car app, right? And again, that is of course the VeChain Verify Car app, okay, in connection with BMW. Now, basically, this allows you to have that car, that vehicle, verified on the chain. So it's immutable. It can't be edited. It can't be altered. Now, this is just the first use case that BMW have highlighted, but it is the one that's currently out there and is currently being used. And it's something that we always talk about quite a bit when it comes to VeChain, because these are big companies that they have partnerships with, and BMW is not going to just partner up with anybody. Now, when it comes to VeChain, they are of course that 5-star TÜV rating, okay, and again, TÜV is German-based, BMW German-based, so again, it makes a lot of synergy between all of these enterprises, right? So when there is only one 5-star rated or 5-star TÜV rated blockchain service provider in the world, and that is VeChain, you can bet your bottom dollar that BMW pick up on these kind of things and are able to really go and utilize that technology and have a lot more faith in that particular project. So when it comes to VeChain, they obviously have stood out from the crowd when it comes to enterprises, and BMW have obviously picked up on this in previous years. I think this is about 2019. Verify Car has been born, and this is a fantastic use case, and I think this is going to evolve much more over the coming years. Now, if we shoot down, we can see use case number 2 for BMW is safe raw material sources thanks to blockchain technology. Again, you'll be able to verify the materials that you're going to use within your vehicles. This is a huge thing, specifically for sectors where there are very strict processes or standards that have to be met. In the case of BMW, with who they are, I want to call them they're not a luxury car, but they're definitely up there, right? They're prestigious to a point. They are the kind of go-to executive kind of car, right? And as a result of that, they are, having to be held to a higher standard. So they want to make sure that they have good sources of materials. And again, this is the use case number 2. Now, if we carry on going down, there's a third use case here, the charge e-cars and more easily with blockchain automotive solutions. Now, this is a really interesting one because obviously in the UK, I'm not sure how many people are aware of this, but by 2030, combustion engines will not be sold anymore. It will only be electric vehicles, right? So charging e-cars becomes obviously a bit of a problem, specifically in the UK, where you've got to make sure you have plenty of places where you park your cars to make sure that there is charging stations and all that kind of stuff. Now, obviously, blockchain technology can help with a lot of this stuff in terms of making it easier for e-charging and all that kind of good stuff as well. So some interesting use cases that BMW have pulled out. And I wanted to kind of just pull those out as well because this is on their website. They're talking about this quite openly. I mean, people talk about mass adoption for blockchain technology, but they always think about retailers or retail investors, and they don't necessarily think about what it means for enterprises. And BMW is a huge enterprise in themselves, and they are already using blockchain technology. So really thought it was important to call that one out. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about when it comes to VeChain is 2 of the biggest partners that often get mentioned that VeChain has, right? So it's PwC, and PwC obviously is the company that offers business advisory solutions such as, auditing, accounting, taxation, strategy management, and human resource consulting services. But PwC serves aerospace, defense, automotive, energy, government, hospitality, insurance, banking, consumer markets, healthcare, transportation, and it is truly worldwide. They're absolutely everywhere, right? So a really massive company. And I'm not going to talk more about who they are at the moment because I'm going to get to that point in a moment. But obviously the second big partner that you often find is obviously DNV, right? or DNVGL as it was formerly known, which is again an international accredited register or classification society. And this one is actually headquartered in Norway. The company currently has, I think, about 12,000 employees and 350 offices operating in more than 100 countries, and provides services for several industries, including oil, gas, renewable energy, food and beverage, healthcare, all of that kind of good stuff. And healthcare is a good one to kind of remember when it comes to DNV. So obviously two absolutely massive partnerships for VeChain. Truly global, both of them crossing many different sectors, right? And the reason that I call this out is because it wasn't that long ago that we had this piece kind of written up, and it's an interesting one because basically DNVGL or DNV, PwC clients will choose VeChain if they want to use blockchain. So basically, if you're a client of PwC or a client of DNV, and you're looking at blockchain technology, these consultants are most likely going to basically recommend and insist upon using VeChain because they already have the partnerships there. They already have that integration. They already know how it works. There's no having to rework anything. It's basically good to go. You're an enterprise. This is the thing to go for. So basically, these two absolutely massive partnerships, and they are absolutely massive, would have a huge impact on enterprises truly worldwide, right? We obviously have that Norway company, DNV, 350 offices in 100 countries. And that is probably one of the smaller of the two. PwC, absolutely massive in their own right as well, right? So all of those clients, all of those businesses, all of those enterprises, if they want to use blockchain, which I think is going to be the case in the next 5 to 10 years, then VeChain is the one that's going to win that. Obviously, these are two just massive players in the space who will have a lot of influence. But above and beyond that, VeChain themselves, being the only 5-star rated blockchain in the world, does obviously make them stand out from the crowd anyway, and the fact that they're the go-to solution for enterprises and businesses. So this is an important thing to just note, and obviously to take note of, because it is a big thing when we start thinking about where the price discovery goes when it comes to VeChain. Which brings me to the next point. Let's jump in to the charts. Now, what we're going to do here, this is just the weekly chart for VeChain. And I do want to just briefly say that, since March of 2020 through to April of 2021, we have seen 18,295% in gains. Okay, and this has been a significant run so far. We are expecting the bull run to finish at about $1. So it's going to be significantly higher than the current position of 10 cents. It's doing incredibly well there right now, and it has obviously had lots of recovery, but the price expectation is to push this up to that fifth wave and take out that dollar level. That is a pretty standard kind of expectation, and a lot of people don't think that's possible due to market capitalization. And I do want to just kind of reiterate what I said about market cap on the ADA price prediction for 2025. I mean, if you haven't seen that one, check the channel out. It is worth getting your head around what's going on there with Cardano. But for VeChain, obviously market capitalization is going to come up as a bit of a sticking point for many, right? But that being said, 64 million in circulating supply right now. Is that too much? Is that not enough? What does it mean for VeChain? Well, ultimately, market cap doesn't mean anything. At least in the case of cryptocurrency. So when we actually think about market capitalization, we often think about, what is the value of something? The problem with market cap in crypto is it doesn't actually represent value. In fact, it just represents price. It's the current price, the latest sold price, multiplied by the circulating supply. And what you're doing here is you're assuming that what someone has just paid for it is the value, and that isn't necessarily true, because most people in this space speculate that something is undervalued, right? They buy it cheaper, and obviously market cap doesn't understand this. It doesn't represent that in this particular space. That calculation is incredibly simple, and it's trying to actually solve a very complex problem. So we know that market capitalization isn't actually a barrier for pushing the price. All that really is of course the supply and of course the demand. Those are the two main factors in creating price discovery. So we have to understand why and how we get to that dollar level. Now, obviously we've spoken many times over how VeChain, the VET token, and V4, the energy token on the system and on the ecosystem itself, they serve very different purposes, right? VET is the store of value, and V4 is the energy, the gas that is used, right? Two different use cases, and they separate them so that businesses have a pretty predictable fee that they pay when they interact with the system. So it's set up for that exact purpose. Now, obviously, when we start talking about price discovery, when we start talking about, supply demand, the amount of enterprises that onboard onto the ecosystem is going to be a factor. It's going to be very important because those businesses are actually incentivized to hold VET, stake it inside the Sync app. When I say stake it, just hold it inside the Sync app, and that will generate V4. The generated V4 can then be used for their purposes on chain. So they don't have to buy V4, okay? They can actually just buy VET, hold it. They'll always have the asset as a store of value, and then they can actually use the V4 that's generated to put all their transactions through on chain. So we know that actually when it comes to supply and demand, over time, there's going to be a squeeze on the supply as the demand increases. And this is going to obviously lead to price discovery. And that's what you're going to see during this bull run. That's how you end up with that dollar level. But of course, what happens in 2025 when we onboard so many more enterprises over the next few years? Well, we end up with a bigger squeeze on the supply and obviously more demand as we onboard more people onto the ecosystem. So as a result, what does that mean? Well, we have to first of all assume a couple of things. We have to assume that we do hit that dollar level in this particular cycle, right? We hit a dollar, and then we have to expect a bit of a pullback. Now, there are several areas that we could pull back to. We could pull back to the top of wave 3, but that's probably very, very shallow. It's very rare that that would happen. And I think actually we're going to go deeper than that. Now, you could argue that you go down all the way to the top of wave 1. It's very possible, but it's also possible that we'd actually just come down to the low of wave 4. Okay, so when we start thinking about, we're up here at $1 and we're going to have a pullback, and we're thinking about what kind of level we're pulling back to. Most altcoins will drop by 90% or so. I actually did the equation for Cardano at 70% because I think there's additional reasons for that to stay nice and high in terms of Ethiopia, governmental contracts, all that kind of stuff. But in the case of VeChain, it wouldn't surprise me if we do see a significant drop. Now, do we think it's going to only drop down as low as 72%? I think it's going to drop down a little bit lower than that personally. But do we think we're actually going to wipe out 97%? I don't. So I'm actually thinking that actually around here at about 94% is a pretty reasonable expectation. We could actually say, let's just go with that stereotypical kind of 90% area. If we actually did say we lost 90% of its value, what would that actually mean, right? What would 90% in value mean? So what I will do is I will draw this on. Let me grab my price range, and we're going to take it from our dollar level, and we're going to take it down 90%. Okay, so we have a 90% decrease. That puts it down here, right? Which would be right down here at basically 9.9 cents. It's pretty much where it is right now, right? So it's pretty much a 10x to where we are going in terms of a dollar. So basically you would come right back to where we are right now during the bear market. That would be the bottom. And if that's the case, well, what we can do is we can take the Fibonacci retracement tool. We can paste this on from the dollar high level and the retracement zone, which is all the way down here. 90% of value has been lost, right? So, but what does this do for price discovery during 2025? Well, this then basically then gives us prediction points, right? It shows us the 1.618, the 2.618, the 3.618, and the 4.236. These areas of the Fibonacci retracement, these extension levels, have associated with them prices. So we obviously have 155 as the first price target, 245, 336, and then basically up here just under $4, 391 would be basically the top. Now, obviously this is not an exact science. I think $4 is a pretty reasonable expectation. And I think actually going above and beyond that, knowing everything that we know about VeChain, it wouldn't surprise me if it completely destroys everything moving further forward. But what does $4 mean in terms of market capitalization? Well, it means about $257 billion approximately, right? Something like that, which is not strange. It is not unheard of, specifically when we're talking about a multi-trillion-dollar market by the time we actually get to 2025, right? Mass adoption, CBDCs, all of this kind of good stuff for Bitcoin swallowing up pretty much the majority of the gold market probably by then. And so many things going on, let alone tokenization, real estate, and all of that kind of stuff. So obviously there's a lot going on. Would we potentially see it going much higher than that? It's very possible. But obviously it's outside of the technicals right now. So obviously knowing that we go up to a dollar level, knowing that we'll probably lose 90% of the value, that basically does show us that we'll potentially push up to, the probability is it will push up to, $4 range. And that would be where, a pretty comfortable 2025 price prediction for VeChain. Now, obviously, as an investor, I'm thinking about maybe sending in some cash and some capital into this project for the next 4 years. And we think about, okay, well, what does that look like, right? What does it look like going all the way from, the current position that we're in, or all the way down here, up to this high point up here? Well, we're talking about another 3,880%. The question then becomes, are you going to be, is a bank going to pay you that in an APY, right? Are you going to earn more interest outside of the blockchain or inside of a blockchain project, right? So obviously you have to understand that your dollar cost average bet positions, you're not necessarily going to have your right down rock bottom and sell right at the top. But obviously that's a pretty interesting kind of price prediction with price expectations about 3,800% in 2025 in terms of that bull run. But again, I wouldn't be too surprised if we actually see things actually far exceed all of this altogether, right? With so much adoption onto the chain, particularly with VeChain's VeChain 4 blockchain, we could see potentially a huge squeeze on the supply that actually could skyrocket the VET price altogether. We could potentially start seeing things really move nicely. And it's always surprised me that VeChain just hasn't actually become that top 10 cryptocurrency that we think it should be. So yeah, guys, this is my kind of thought pattern when it comes to VeChain and the price kind of expectations for 2025. At a 10-cent coin today, going to $4 by 2025 is pretty reasonable in my mind. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm super interested to know what you think. So guys, that is my price prediction for VeChain in 2025. If you have found this video useful and informative, then do go ahead and hit that like button. I really do appreciate it. If you are new to the channel, make sure you do subscribe, tap the bell and select all notifications. In doing so, you will not miss another VeChain update. Guys, with this said, done, and out of the way, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.